Hey guys, I wanted to take a moment to talk about perspective. And this kind of came up. If you watched the interview yesterday with the Dizzy Learner and some of the videos I've made recently, one of the reoccurring themes that happens on all of this is how our perspective changes. It's incredible how at the beginning of this you can be feeling about anger, disappointment, bitterness, more anger, and then add a little more anger onto it. And you can feel at the beginning part of this that you are never going to escape the anger, that you are going to be PO'd forever. And I felt the exact same way. I felt that there was no way that I was going to get over all the stuff that happened, that I would be able to detach from it, that the pain of it would ever leave. It really felt like no matter what, it felt like someone cut my arm off and I was going to spend the rest of my life without that arm and be reminded of it every day. And the best I could do would be to ignore it a little bit. But that pain, the dull phantom pains, would always be there. When you're trying to heal and you're thinking along those lines, when you're thinking that, oh my God, this is going to be with me forever, I'm just going to have to learn to deal with this ache in my chest forever, that can be incredibly demoralizing. That can leave you feeling just beat down, worn out, asking yourself, is this ever, what's the point? You feel like everything's been just destroyed. One thing you're going to notice if you're new to this channel and you watch some of my older videos, and I guarantee going forward, the reoccurring theme that you're going to see from guests that I bring on the show and that you're going to hear from me is how your perspective changes. The problem is you start out with like this being your baseline for life. This is the way everything's supposed to be. And then whenever you get knocked down and it drops down to, here, way low, there's such a big contrast from it that you feel like you're never going to be able to re-baseline your life to this new normal. I used to make a lot of videos where I would talk about the importance of re-baselining your life. And that, I'm curious to know if you're listening to this, if that makes any sense, especially as I continue on with this. But what happened with me, initially when I would look at it, I would look at it going, I'm in my 40s, everything I worked for financially is destroyed, my credit's destroyed. I basically back down to where I was at 20, maybe 21. And you feel like you start running through your head like, oh my God, it'll take me, it took me 20 years to get to where I am now. It's going to take me another 20 years, but I'm going to be, what would I have been at the time? 63. It's not, and there's not even a possibility of it because I'm not 20 anymore. And you can feel that all that happiness, that peace is just out of reach. The problem is you're taking here, this this new baseline you're at now, and you're equating it to here, and you're thinking, okay, I have to get back up here. The reality is what you're not thinking about with where you were before is the unhappiness that you actually were feeling. I think everybody, as you're going through this, you're in that mode or you're in that state of mind where you're completely stressed, you're worn out. Your subconscious really knows something's wrong. We all know, but you're in this constant state of dread and second guessing and cognitive dissonance to where you're like, no, it can't be true. So the problem is that when you're looking at here and you're down here, the reality is that if you can get to here, it's better than what you thought here was. The key on this is if you look at if you go to the main website, or not website, if you go to the main YouTube page, the Dad Surviving Divorce YouTube page, scroll down to the playlist called Mindset for Narcissistic Abuse Recovery. And those first few videos really kind of go into this. But the thing is what happens, or what you end up doing is you start valuing your peace, your serenity, just the calmness in your house, the lack of chaos, being able to remove the chaos out of your life. And it starts making you feel better about everything. And you start to kind of relax. And the anger starts to come down because you're like, hey, I got away from chaos. I don't have it. I mean, yes, there's still chaos going on. And that's a tough one, because what you'll do is when you're away from it, you're like, yay, I'm away from the chaos. And then they find a way to create more chaos. And you're like, oh my God, I'm still dealing with chaos. What I had to do in that situation is like, well, at least I don't have it. At least they're physically not in my house. At least I'm not coming home every day to this crap show and I'm waking up to it every morning and I can't escape it. When you have control of your own environment, and control, that's kind of a funny way to say it, but what I mean is when you control the influence of what comes into your environment, you have a lot more control than what you really imagine or what you really think. And what ends up happening is you start finding your peace, you start calming down, you start realizing, wow, yes, this person is creating drama in my life, but it's external, right? So you can start to mitigate some of that. It's not easy to do, right? I'm not saying that this is one of those things where you just wake up one morning and you're like, oh wow, hey, everything's great, because it doesn't work that way. My ex would find unique ways to, poke me in the eye, and it would drive me crazy. Couple that with the financial catastrophe that was my life, living paycheck to paycheck. And this is the beginning stage. It's a lot better now. Makes it incredibly tough, right? Because you're stressed. You're not knowing where money was coming from. I remember shortly after all this, my credit was destroyed because of the house and everything. She stopped paying for the house. So we ended up having a short sale, not a foreclosure, but I think it was a short sale. But anyways, bottom line is I couldn't get credit. I mean, it's like I remember I was like, oh, I need tires for my truck. Oh, I don't have any money. I don't have any credit cards. I'll try to get a credit card. Denied. And it's like salt being rubbed into that wound every day over and over again. But I made my peace with it, right? There was a period of time where I'm like, okay, this sucks. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And I really started budgeting really tight, right? I mean, it's like I had $120 sometimes buffer for the whole month. A lot of times it was like 80. And, nothing could happen. No more medical appointments, no prescriptions, it was bad. But I finally got to the point where I was able to make my peace with it. And I re-baselined my life on this, right? And part of it is a lot of that stress comes from looking at everything that you've lost. From looking at everything that you've lost and looking at everything that you perceive that the ex has taken from you. And when you start to just focus on, okay, here's my new normal. Let's, this is what it is. Let's figure it out. Things start to get better. Now, Dizzy, when we were talking to him yesterday, and I'll try to put a link in the video description or up in the box above on the interview I did with him yesterday, but he was talking a little bit about that, not in the detail of what I just said, but there comes a time when you start getting your life back, when you start finding some happiness and joy. You re-baseline where your life is at, and you start dealing with the boulders that are being rolled down the hill from you. And what's crazy is, and at least for me, so maybe this will be different for you, but this seems to have been what I'm getting ready to say seems to be a reoccurring theme or trend that I hear from a lot of people, both men and women, is that when you get to that point and you start feeling better, it's like things start exponentially getting better. You start feeling better. Now, let me be clear. That doesn't mean that the shenanigans stop. As I was going through this phase of it and feeling better, X was still playing their games. The kids were still being used as pawns. there was still crap going on. There's still crap going on to this day that I'm dealing with. You know, I mean, things aren't blissfully perfect, but I will tell you that in my mind, my life is so much better than it was forever. You know, I mean, I'm older. Yeah, I have, you know, aches and pains that you know, come with age, which is kind of annoying, but I am just so much more happier, and things just look to be getting better and better and better. And I really believe that's what's in store for you. That if you know, and the sooner you can make your peace with the situation and start carving a new path, it really starts to change everything. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that I'm listening to this. If you're listening to this, you're like, oh, okay, it makes sense. And I'd love to hear in the comments below. Let me know if you're like, man, that sounds crazy. What in the world are you talking about? Or conversely, if you're like, oh yeah, exactly. I'm experiencing that. I see that. You know, you're speaking the truth. Put it in the comments below. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. Hope you have a great weekend. If you didn't get to see that interview, check it out. It was a really great conversation. A lot of us hung out the other day when the premiere happened. Dizzy was actually in the live stream. If the YouTube does the replay of the live stream chat, you'll be able to see that. And it was an hour and 7 minutes, I think, was the entire length of the thing, and it flew by. I was like, holy crap, I can't believe we just went through an hour. So on that, try to have a good weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.